Welcome, one and all, to the Hammer Territory podcast. My name is Shawn Coleman. Hope wherever you are and wherever you are listening, you are having a great week so far. If you're a Braves fan and you enjoy good baseball, Stephen Tolbert, we've had 2 straight weeks of good Braves baseball. My name is Shawn Coleman. As always, my podcast partner, Stephen Tolbert, is with me. If you could not tell, a bit under the weather on my end, so forgive the lack of enthusiasm when it came to that open. But Stephen, good to talk with you as always, sir. I'm ready to hear your insight on some impressive Braves play throughout the weekend as well as to start this week.
Yeah, listen, it's the middle of the season for all of us, and Shawn's playing hurt tonight. Jordan flu game type of situation. So, but yeah, it's good to be on with you, man. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, this is kind of the team we thought we were going to get. On opening day was a really fun offense, enough pitching, maybe not great pitching, but enough pitching to win games when you have an offense this good. And listen, they're playing the Rockies. The Rockies legitimately might be the worst team I've ever seen. What they've done to that franchise, people should be arrested for what they've done to the Colorado Rockies franchise. That's an incredible sports town that they have just crapped on for the last 5 years. But from the Braves' perspective, obviously, it's very good. 2 wins in a row, chance to go for a sweep tomorrow with Chris Sale on the mound, chance to get back to 500, which if you told me was a possibility before the calendar turned to May, I would have said you're crazy. So, yeah, great baseball the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we've done a show. We've done a bunch of shows here recently, but there's been 2 games played since we've last done a show. So we're going to focus on these last 2 games, a couple of news and notes to get to, but a lot of fun to talk about the Braves right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing that stands out about this team right now is that I think it should remain in context, the level of teams that they're playing. We talked about it a few weeks ago. This April 15th to May 15th stretch was really when the Braves needed to cook when it came to starting to play well, and that's exactly what they've done. 4 straight series wins. But it's no small feat, Stephen. And what I'm excited to see is that this team is not beating itself anymore right now when it comes to the offense. They're taking advantage of their ability to be able to score runs. For instance, in this Colorado series, you may expect for there to be a plethora of home runs that are hit, but that's not the case at all. The Braves are just getting a lot of good at-bats, putting the ball in play, and scoring runs when they need to. And that's what stands out to me is that you look at this team, and there were a couple of times tonight where you're like, oh, here we go again. Then you realize, hey, they had a runner in scoring position opportunity nearly every inning. So again, while the level of competition that we're playing should lead to the Braves getting wins at the level that they're getting them, the big thing is that the Braves are not beating themselves, and that's how they get back to being able to beat the teams that are at their level or maybe a bit beyond, and that's how we really start to see the Braves turn back into the contender we all expect them to be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, beating bad teams sounds like something that's just a given, but this is what they did not do last year. Like, they lost to the White Sox. They lost a 3-game series to the White Sox last year. They lost a 3-game series in Colorado last year. They lost a series to the Pirates last year. They struggled with the Nationals last year. They struggled with the Marlins last year. Like, that was the reason the Braves had to play all the way to the end of the season, right down to the last day just to make the playoffs. It's because they didn't beat bad teams. So, yeah, people can say, well, yeah, you're just beating up on bad teams, but that's not a given. And we watched it all last year where they didn't do it over and over and over again. So when you play these teams that are not good, and listen, Colorado is legitimately maybe the worst team in baseball. And not maybe the worst team in baseball history is what I meant to say. But you still got to beat them. You still got to beat them. So I'm not gonna take too much away from the Braves for doing what they're supposed to. Arizona is a good team, and that's probably a playoff team. They went to their house and won 2 of 3. The Twins might end up being a decent team. It's tough to tell this early. The Cardinals probably are not going to be a very good team, but it doesn't matter. They're major league teams. You got to beat them. So, yeah, and like you said, and you and I talked about this on our last show. They've got some bad teams coming up. Right? They've got Pittsburgh coming up. They've got Washington coming up. And if you can beat up on bad teams, man, you make your life so much easier because you're not gonna just crush good teams. You're not gonna sweep good teams. Typically speaking, at least. You might every once in a while, but you got to make your hay against these bad teams. And they did not do it last year. It cost them in the standings all year last year because they could not beat bad teams. So it's good to see him doing it right now.
Absolutely. And so, another thing that we talked about is how do the Braves basically get back to not beating themselves? How do they get back to playing to the level that we expect for them to? And we talked about their best being at their best, Riley, Olson, so on and so forth. And, we're still seeing many work their ways back. Riley's been just fine. Ozuna's been just fine. Olson has shown good flashes. On the pitching side, you hope Swellenbach and Sale get back to what you expect from them on a start-by-start basis. But the reason why I brought up the FanDuel Sports Network Player Spotlight is because the other thing that we've seen that's leading to some good success for the Braves is we're once again seeing these newcomers on the fringes, these moves on the margins that probably many didn't expect to happen. I'm talking right now about Alex Verdugo as well as Nick Allen and Eli White. Those three are literally doing the best impression you can find of 2024 Ramon Laureano, Whit Merrifield, as well as Gio Ursula. But they're doing it at places where it's really needed. Eli White doing well in the right field spot. He's taken over that position. Nick Allen at shortstop. Verdugo's made left field his own. I put all three of those guys in the spotlight because what has really also keyed the turnaround for this lineup is the bottom of the order turning into the top of the order. That 8, 9, and 1 spot right now with White, Allen, and Verdugo producing, you see what it does. Again, we're not relying on the home runs, but a big reason why we're still scoring a lot of runs is because that turn of the lineup is so successful. May not necessarily see it continue, for the whole season, but it's good to see right now, and it's been a big boost to this Braves order.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the Braves had Kelenic, De La Cruz, and Arcia in those 3 spots for the first 3 weeks of the year, and those were 3 not just zeros offensively, but actually actively like negative. It was negative value they were providing, and so not only have White, Verdugo, and Nick Allen produced, but they've replaced 3 guys who were god awful. And so you've taken 3 spots in the lineup that were giving you literally nothing, and now are giving you plus offensive production, at least from Verdugo and White's standpoint. And then, Nick Allen's more league average production, but that's worlds better than what you were getting. And then add on top of it, Shawn Murphy came back and has looked like, vintage Shawn Murphy. Matt Olson finally got some hits to fall. Riley is having kind of a weird year. He's kind of getting hot and cold. He's been really streaky. Ozuna's having a typical good year. If you look at his numbers, it's been a lot of walks. He hasn't yet been able to get these big, like, runs driven in games where he's, I think he's got like 11 RBI on the year, which is weird for him. But their numbers look solid. And everybody's numbers look better now than they did 3 weeks ago. And then you add in these guys that you weren't expecting to give you anything, giving you plus production. It just makes everything so much easier. And like you said, it's huge that White, Allen, and Verdugo in the 8, 9, and 1 spots are constantly on base. That's huge. That's huge that Riley, Ozuna, Olson, and Murphy are constantly coming to the plate with guys on base. And it's helping everybody. And it's a huge part of the turnaround. I do not expect Eli White. Eli White's got like a 180 WRC plus right now. Like,
he's going to keep that up. He's going to have at least a 195.
I do not expect Eli White to turn into Juan Soto. So we need to temper expectations. People get mad when you say that. Same with probably Nick Allen. Like, the water is going to find its level here at some point. But, you and I talked about, you need these little pockets of a really strong play that randomly pop up throughout a year to help you supplement when maybe your best players aren't going well, or your best players aren't driving in runs the way they normally do. Like, you need this. This is the kind of stuff that really helps you win a significant amount of games when you have these kind of random weeks or a couple of weeks where these guys you're not expecting produce. So it's been huge. It's been huge. And I don't know how long it'll last, but I'll take it as long as we can get it.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that, again, we talk about how it's levels better than what we had previously. Even if Eli White and Nick Allen in particular cool off a bit, they're at least more reliable in terms of putting together good approaches at the plate, the long at bats at the plate. I mean, you're basically, the other thing is, not only are these guys getting on base, but when you go through the 8, 9, and 1 holes right now in the Braves order, even when you had Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies in the first spot, you're probably seeing starting pitchers have to throw double the amount of pitches through that part of the lineup than they were earlier this year. And that in of itself adds value. So even if White and Allen in particular fall off, the good approach that they have at the plate, that really does help out getting productive outs, working the count, getting walks. Both of them on base are arguably our two best base stealers with Michael Harris. There's just a lot of versatility in what they've offered so far. And if you want some versatility to your ability to be able to watch the Braves and enjoy how good the offense is right now, I've got the best option for you to go with. That's FanDuel. If you use if you use the code baseball30 at FanDuelSportsNetwork.com/packages, you'll be able to catch all the Braves action that you can enjoy.
You can now stream Braves games through FanDuel Sports Network, and if you use the promo code BASEBALL30, that's promo code BASEBALL30, you can start it off with a 30-day extended free trial at FanDuelSportsNetwork.com/packages. That is FanDuelSportsNetwork.com/packages. Promo code BASEBALL30. Offer expires 5/2/25, $19.99 a month after free trial. Cancel during free trial to avoid charges. Eligibility restrictions apply. Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com for details.
So, Stephen, let's talk about, the on-the-field success has certainly been awesome. And I know we usually cover our news and notes towards the end of the podcast, but there's been a lot of movement going on when it comes to the Braves. I'm going to let you break that down, as you always do, in such excellent fashion. But the big takeaways from the moves that have occurred is that Jarred Kelenic has been optioned to the minors. Former Brave Eddie Rosario is back on the major league deal, at least for right now. We saw Ian Anderson come back and then be designated for assignment in like 36 hours. So it's been a crazy flurry of moves, especially when you see the names that are involved. But the first thing I want to start with is, of course, Jarred Kelenic. Now, I don't think it's all that surprising that he has been optioned to the minors. It's what is best for him to get every day at bats to hopefully figure some stuff out. But I also think that the writing is starting to become a bit more clear on the wall. Right now, odds are just not there that Jarred Kelenic is going to wind up being a big contributor that the Braves had envisioned him being about 12 months ago. It's just not there for right now. And with the way that you see his career going, typically when you see it going that way, it doesn't usually end up with him being a big-time contributor. You would love for that to be the case. I just don't expect it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we said it coming into the year that this kind of month and a half that Acuna was out was Jarred Kelenic's time to shine, was his chance to show everybody that he could still play at this level. And then Jurickson Profar went out, and it became doubly so that they needed Kelenic to actually produce. And listen, man, when you run a 31% strikeout rate and like a 5% walk rate, like you're just already so far behind the eight ball. Like you have to absolutely mash the ball to have any chance at any production when you are striking out that much and walking that little. And so, with Jarred, he's still a good defender. He's still a good athlete. He's still relatively young. I think he's 25. If I was gonna wish one thing upon his career, it would be, we got to find a way to drop that strikeout rate by about 10 percentage points. And we got to increase that walk rate by about 5 percentage points, because that's just going to make life so much easier. He is a good athlete. Like when he gets on base, like he can make things happen, but he's just never on base because he never takes walks. He runs a really low, OBP because of it. And listen, the writing was on the wall. Once Eli White started getting starts against right-handed pitching and Jarred Kelenic was on the bench, it became very clear. The Braves were it was just a matter of time before they demoted. They were just basically, as soon as we can sign somebody that's got a pulse, we're going to demote this guy. And that's basically what Eddie Rosario is. He's a guy with a pulse and not much else. I mean, the Braves in these reunions of guys that were on the 2021 team or even before that is getting a little wild, quite honestly. I don't understand why Eddie Rosario. I understand there's maybe not a lot out there outfield wise, but I mean, whatever. He's never going to play. This is a stopgap until Acuna's ready. But yeah, I mean, once Eli White starts taking starts from you against right-handed pitching, You no longer have any value to the team, and you need to be in Gwinnett getting at bats every day. So that made sense to me. It was just a matter of who was going to come up. And then obviously we'll talk about Ian Anderson here in a second, but I completely understand what they're doing. It does not look good for the trade where they spent all that money to get him. I think it's fair to say that was probably a misstep by Alex. We'll see what Kelenic does in AAA, see if he can rebuild any value, maybe even some trade value. But as of right now, that does look like a mistake, spending all that money to get Kelenic last offseason to be the left fielder. It just hasn't worked.
Yeah, and getting to the other moves that have occurred, again, the Braves bringing back Ian Anderson, having him, they brought up Davis Daniel, all this different stuff. We saw Jesse Chavez, who was designated for assignment. We're seeing all these familiar names multiple times so far this season. And Steven, what it brings up to me is that we knew that the Braves pitching depth, if it was tested, may be a weak point this year, but it just amazes me that we just really don't have any reliable options, even at AAA right now, that we can bring up and fill in spots. That's why Bryce Elder is still going out there. Now, Elder had a very good game for his standard in game one, but it just points out how much unreliable depth we have right now and why it's so critical we get Spencer Strider back and keep the health going of the starters that we have. But the other thing that it puts a big spotlight on is AJ Smith-Shawver hopefully getting going himself. And you could say he arguably had his best start of his career on Tuesday night. Now, of course, he exited the game after getting hit back by a liner. I believe it was kind of right above his elbow. It looked like that he was okay. We haven't gotten any reports back as far as what his status is. But all that being said, discussing the pitching depth, it's critical that AJ Smith-Shawver does well. But one thing that's good to see emerging is the fact that he has a go-to pitch. That splitter is becoming a real weapon. I think that he may use it a bit too much because he can't control his other pitches to the level that he wants to as of yet. But a lot's riding on AJ Smith-Shawver figuring it out, and I think we're starting to see glimpses of him doing that.
Yeah, so let's start with Ian Anderson. So they brought him back. He was DFA'd by the Angels. He was pitching out of their bullpen exclusively. The most innings he had thrown all year was 2 innings. So he was a reliever. He was DFA'd. They picked him up. They literally brought him to the team for one day. I think that he was basically, if Bryce Elder blows up on Monday and it's 12-1 in the 4th inning, Ian Anderson's gonna be the one that, that eats it and gets cut after. That didn't happen, of course. Elder pitched a pretty solid game. He gave up that 3-run homer in the 1st inning and then pitched, I think, another 5 clean innings. And so Anderson was then DFA'd, and we kind of knew this was happening. The Braves want Ian Anderson off the 40-man. But the only way to get him off the 40-man is to DFA him and hope he clears waivers so that you can put him in AAA, but he's not taking up a spot on the 40-man. So that's what they did today. They DFA'd him. We'll see if he clears waivers. I don't think Ian Anderson's a major league pitcher. Quite honestly, you and I have talked about that ad nauseum. We spent all spring talking about how Ian Anderson is not a major league starter. And so I don't expect Ian Anderson to be much of a contributor. But your point about AJ Smith-Shawver, who they called up today when they DFA'd Ian Anderson, is 100% correct. His development means everything to the Braves because, like you just said, they have so little depth in AAA right now. It's basically Elder and AJ Smith-Shawver. And now that Ronaldo and Strider are both out, those guys are in the majors. So now they really have no depth. And I think we're going to see some promotion soon from, A-ball and AA to maybe try to get a little bit more depth in AAA. But it's bleak down there right now. And they really cannot afford any more pitching injuries. They need Chris Sale to wake up. They need Schwellenbach to start pitching like he did at the beginning of the year. And they desperately need AJ Smith-Shawver to pitch like he did tonight. Now, he got lucky tonight. He had some very hard hit balls that were hit right at people. And so, his command is still not where it needs to be. But the splitter looked okay. He hung it a couple of times, but it's such a weird pitch. It's actually kind of hard to punish him when he hangs it. The fastball command is still not there. But the Braves need him right now. And I think this is going to be your rotation going forward. I think it's going to be Sale, Schwellenbach, Grant Holmes, Bryce Elder, AJ Smith-Shawver. Now, if the offense scores 8 runs a night, then it matters a lot less. But And credit to Bryce Elder. He's put together 2 solid starts in a row. So we need to give him his flowers for that. We pick on him enough that we need to at least, acknowledge when he does well. And he did well yesterday, and AJ did well today. So that's what the Braves need. They need those guys to at least give them a chance to win. They don't need 8 shutout innings, but like 5, 6 innings pitched, 3, 4 earned runs. Give them a chance to win the game. And that's what both guys did in Colorado, and the Braves got 2 wins out of it, and that's all you can ask for.
Absolutely. And so the Braves now find themselves on the doorstep of, as we mentioned, not only getting a series sweep, not only winning their 4th straight series, but ending the month of April. Ending the month of April after starting out 0-7, ending the month of April at 500. We'll discuss that more in just a moment after a word from our partners.
Todd, Father, I want to pull a very expensive card out of a pack. Very difficult to do and very expensive. I can't pay for it, okay? How could I acquire that card?
Simple. Instead of driving somewhere, you go on Arena Club, go get you a slab pack, and you'll have some of the best cards you're ever going to see. Some 101s, some cards that you want to have and you can't get out of your home. Go right online, check out Arena Club.
Yeah, I cannot recommend it enough. And every time you rip a slab pack, Arena Club will make you an instant offer for your card based on its market value. That's right. No guessing, no waiting. Instant offer for the estimated fair market value. You can accept it on the spot. You can use that cash for another slab pack, or you can buy, sell, trade. This platform has it all for the collectors out there. And right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase.
Take me out to my TV on FanDuel Sports Network. Yeah. Watch me some dingers and RBIs. I'm just glad they have my local team live for its root for the Bravos. If they don't win, it's a shame. Braves games, announcers, and more Braves games. FanDuel Sports Network has the Braves. Stream now.
I'm so glad that they don't make us show ourselves during that Stazzy FanDuel commercial, because if people saw us dancing, that would ruin.
I dance every time.
I agree too. I'm man enough to admit it. But Steven, let's get back to, again, the Braves offense has been really, really good as of late. I've talked about it. I'm not going to say it nauseum, but a big key for me when it comes to this Braves offense is how confident are you that they can win in multiple ways? And right now, I definitely feel that's the case. If we need the power, I feel like it can be there. If we need to get the big key hits, I feel like it can be there. If we need to get stuff done on the bases, I feel like it can be done, especially with Nick Allen and Eli White going on. This versatility leads to multiple ways to be able to win. And while right now that's not really being put to the test, coming up, we got the Dodgers coming up. We've got the middle and the end of May. Hopefully Acuna and Strider will be back by the end. But if this offense can keep humming at a rate to where maybe it's not the best overall offense in the majors, but at the very least, it's doing things to where you're confident it can win in multiple ways. That's what's going to help us remain successful versus good or bad teams.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of there's certainly not the personnel that we were thinking, but having a lineup 1 through 9 that is contributing was kind of the vision originally, right? I mean, everybody said, Orlando is probably not going to contribute much, but if everybody else is doing their job, then at least 1 through 8, you can have guys contributing. And right now that's what's happening. Everybody in the lineup is putting up a good at bat. It wasn't that long ago that nobody in the lineup was putting up a good at bat. So, Verdugo has really, I think, sparked this offense by, getting on base, first of all, but also that dude just seeds 1,000 pitches a night. Like I actually charted him last night because I just wanted to see. He saw 32 pitches in one game last night on Monday night. Now, again, the Rockies suck, but still 32 pitches. The guys there, when they had Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies leading off, those guys see 32 pitches in a week. I mean, it's just a different level. And so I credit Verdugo quite a bit for setting the table as well as he's done. You have to credit Eli White in what we just talked about, Eli White and Nick Allen, for what they've done at the bottom of the lineup, providing not only production, but constant on-base threats, speed, which the Braves desperately need. They still have some maddening at bats at times, especially Ozzie. Ozzie's got a pop-up problem right now that I'm probably going to write about this at Battery Power because it's getting kind of weird. He's hitting like these 60-degree, 150-foot fly balls that are just weird. But you can't complain about, they scored 14 runs the last 2 nights. I mean, without a homer, which is wild. I mean, you imagine the Braves scored 14 runs in Coors Field over 2 games and they didn't hit a homer. I would have thought they would have had 5 or 6 homers. So, yeah, they're doing it different ways. Doubles, triples, clutch hitting, sacrifice flies, getting guys over, taking the extra base, stuff we don't always see from them. And so that's cool. That's cool to see. Again, I do not expect Eli White and Nick Allen to be this good all year. I really hope people don't think this is like Eli White's true talent level. It's like Juan Soto level hitting, but it helps for as long as it lasts. It helps. And it's helping a lot right now. And a big, big shout out to Alex Verdugo. He was a very, very modest signing, no fanfare about that signing. Everybody just kind of assumed he would just be a backup. And listen, if he plays like this, when Jerks and Profar comes back, that's going to be a fascinating conversation about
Play Verdugo.
Yeah, what has Profar done to earn a spot over Verdugo? Verdugo's had some really good years. This is not necessarily just a fluke. And so that conversation is going to get interesting if he keeps, doing what he's doing. I was thinking about that tonight, actually, as he was taking, I think he took another 25 pitches tonight. So he's been awesome. I really give him a lot of credit that it's not a coincidence that this lineup has taken off kind of as he's joined the team. The offense as a whole has looked substantially better. And I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah. I feel like that, the Braves are likely going to look to play Profar, but if Profar is not going to be eligible for the postseason, and Verdugo right now is your bet, well, you're probably going to bat Verdugo elsewhere when Ronald comes back, but let Verdugo play as much as possible. Yep. If he is going good, the offense obviously is going to be your meal ticket to get where you want to get this year. Go with what you know is working right now. And if that continues to be the case, especially as the schedule gets tougher, I don't see any reason to not continue with Verdugo. So let's talk about the most important thing to come across tomorrow, and that is Chris Sale regaining his form. I know the park is not the best setting to do it, but you're not going to find a better team to do it against. The key that I would like to see, just a quality start. And the biggest thing about that quality start is you got to go 6 innings to get a quality start. I know Chris Sale wants that efficiency back. I know that he wants to get through a first inning pretty clean without running into trouble. Getting 6 innings from Chris Sale will be huge, not only to allow for him to gain some confidence, but also to keep this bullpen fresh as you head into a weekend series with the Dodgers coming to town.
Yeah. A lot of it comes down to command for Chris. AJ Smith-Shawver and Bryce Elder have thrown more pitches in the 6th inning in the last 2 days than Chris Sale has thrown all year. And if you told me that, was going to be the case at the end of April, that'd be pretty stunning. I honestly would have just assumed Chris Sale's hurt. And so the fact that he's been healthy, still hasn't made it to the 6th inning of a game yet, that is kind of the last big piece that the Braves need to him and Raisel Iglesias are the last 2 big pieces that kind of need to start doing their job, quite honestly. And listen, Chris Sale is a absolute bulldog. There is nobody madder about how he started the season than he is. He's just every time he gets in front of a microphone, he is just absolutely disgusted with himself. He is the maybe the most competitive person I've ever seen. So he would agree with everything we're saying that, they just need more out of him. And yeah, the Rockies are so bad. Listen, it's a really good park to hit in, but the Rockies are so damn bad. This is a really good opponent to get right with. I would love to see 7-8 innings out of Chris Sale tomorrow, an easy win, kind of get all the horses back going in the right direction. He's one of the big pieces that they need to get going. And, to end the road trip on a sweep, man, the vibes would just feel great, especially when you got to go play the Dodgers next. That would just be, that would be some awesome vibes. A sweep, get back to 500. Chris Sale looks good. The offense looks good. You kind of got everything clicking in the right direction as as bad as the month started, or the end of March started. By the end, you get it back to 500. You get all your best players looking good again. You can kind of launch into the rest of the season, especially when you know that Acuna and Strider are coming back soon. So, yeah, it'd be huge tomorrow. I desperately want to see like good, high quality Chris Sale start tomorrow.
Of course, and the Braves also hitting a few home runs to end their conquer of Coors in a good way. I think will be a lot of fun. Stephen Tolbert, I appreciate it. You've been the MVP tonight as usual. Thank you for stepping up. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. The Braves, listen, they're playing well. You're going into May, hopefully with the 500 record. I know we're going to turn right around and face the Dodgers. We may be right back under 500. Who cares? We're right in the thick of things once again with the offense. And that's the good thing about the Braves baseball. Baseball's just more fun when your offense is good. And so it's your room for error is a little bit more. It's just more fun, exciting.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will continue. For Stephen Tolbert, you can find him at B_outliers. Myself, Shawn Coleman at StatsSAC on Twitter/X. Hammer Territory across all forms of social media. Part of the Foul Territory family of podcasts. Make sure you check out all the great content from Foul Territory. For Stephen Tolbert, my name is Shawn Coleman. Until next time, go Braves. We'll talk to you again soon here on the Hammer Territory podcast.